James at 16 will not be presented this evening, but will return next week at its regular time. Stay tuned now for a special 2-hour What Really Happened to the Class of 65.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
His paintings redefined comic book heroes. His vision inspired a generation. The Legend of Kingdom Come is the definitive documentary on Alex Ross, known as the Norman Rockwell of comics.
It almost looked like Renaissance paintings, except for superheroes.
He makes them look like Olympian gods.
We go behind the scenes of his definitive graphic novel, Kingdom Come, now on Blu-ray, packed with exclusive interviews and unseen artwork. Order today at legendofkingdomcome.com.
If you're here at Word Balloon, it's because you like comics, creators, conversation, pop culture subjects. Would you consider joining the League of Word Balloon Listeners? Patreon.com/wordballoon. For just $3 a month or more, you'll get exclusive access to the Word Balloon e-magazine, featuring transcriptions of some of my best conversations. When you subscribe, you'll also be part of the Word Balloon Book Club, where Brian Michael Bendis and I will pick a comic every month to review and discuss live with the League on this show. Join the League today, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you always for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress with you. Really excited to welcome Charlie Adlard back to Word Balloon. Charlie was on a few years ago. I got to be honest, between the flu that I've been fighting and getting my voice back, I haven't had a chance to really look at what that last episode then was, where I spoke to Charlie. But the good news is we're talking about a brand new graphic novel that he has made with Heinrich Hanna. It's called Altamont. You might know the name if you know your music history. Altamont was the site of the infamous 1969 music festival on the West Coast that was kind of an answer to Woodstock that happened in the East Coast earlier that year. Everybody was hoping for a nice, lovely night of music, actually days of music, but instead things really disintegrated. Somebody's bright idea was to get the Hells Angels biker group to provide security for the concert, and things devolved, frankly, into madness. It's a different kind of hell that Charlie draws from the zombie-filled world of The Walking Dead, and sadly, it's based in reality. Now, this is a fictional story that focuses on 5 different kids that go to the show and have their lives turned around by the concert and things that are happening in their personal lives. It's excellent. I am thrilled to have Charlie back to talk about it. So without further ado, let's get into my discussion about Image Comics' release of Altamont, which is coming this Wednesday. Charlie Adlard on today's Word Balloon. Charlie Adlard, welcome to Word Balloon. Man, it's been a while, but great to see you again, Charlie.
And you, John, absolutely. Yeah, well, time just goes so quickly nowadays, especially at our age.
Indeed. Charlie, because I first of all, I love Altamont. I think it's excellent.
Thank you.
And I think I'm the right age to talk to you about this, although I was born in 1964.
Oh,
so
wow,
I was kind of that.
I'm 66, so yeah.
Okay, there you go. You go. But I really, especially the group that we follow to Altamont, I think as a little kid, I was probably in the back of the van of many of an older kid making that kind of pilgrimage. I mean, slightly younger, maybe that generation right underneath, the kids that were teenagers for Altamont. So,
well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you probably were. I don't know. Yeah, brilliant.
How do you know your collaborator? Give me your collaborator's name, Charlie.
Heinrich Hanna.
Okay, and how did you guys hook up for this thing?
Well, yeah, it's a weird story. Well, not weird. It's just quite a long, protracted story. So I'll give you the sort of the bullet points on this one. It all began. Altamont for me is a passion project because there's only 2 projects in my life that I've sort of instigated. One obviously was Altamont, and the other one was many years ago, which was White Death, which Robbie Morrison did a brilliant, kind of writing job on.
Cool.
So I just wanted to do something, A, about music, and B, about something of recent history. And I've always been kind of interested in, sort of the 60s, especially visually, and
Sure.
and I genuinely can't remember the actual thing that clicked about Altamont, the story. So briefly, for those guys out there that don't know what Altamont is, it was a Rolling Stones free festival, which was put on right at the tail end of '69 in December. It was meant to be their answer to Woodstock, and it was put on the west coast of America, on a kind of a car racing track just sort of outside of San Francisco. So that was the ideal. What happened was it was a complete disaster. It was a free festival. 200,000 people descended upon a piece of ground that was vastly... It was a bit like Woodstock 99.
Indeed.
A place that was completely unready for that amount of people. I mean, you look at pictures, the stage was just shambolic, all the big artists of the time on the West Coast played, like the Grateful Dead and the Flying Burrito Brothers and
Jefferson Airplane
and everything.
certainly. Yeah.
And it was meant to be this great, wonderful hippie event. Unfortunately, it got really dark, and it culminated with the killing of a fan right in front of the Rolling Stones as they were performing. The atmosphere was getting darker and darker and darker, and I mean, I don't mean that, I mean that literally and metaphorically as the day was going on. So that's the fact-based part of the story, but Altamont itself has been sort of depicted in detail in a really good documentary called Give Me Shelter. A lot of it in the music press obviously has been written about it, so I didn't want to do just a comic book about the festival. And let's face it, music is the hardest thing, I think, to do in comic books, because there's no sound. It's as simple as that. So, and I didn't want to go down the cheesy route of having lots of shots of bands playing and just crass musical notes coming out, and just no. So what I thought was, we'll have that as the backdrop, that's the music part, and what we'll do, we'll tell a fictional story which relates to what happened at Altamont, in the foreground. So that was the basis of my idea. So I went to a couple of writers, English-speaking writers for starters, who, because I naturally thought it would be an American book, like I normally do, because it's an American theme. It happens in San Francisco, blah, 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 blah. So, but the guys I talked to, a couple of them just said no straight away, because it just wasn't their thing. And I knew I needed someone of a certain, I don't know, attitude, who had an affinity with that kind of scene. I got a certain distance with one writer guy, and in the end he bowed out just because he just didn't like the amount of research, which is fair enough. At least he bowed out before I'd drawn anything,
Sure.
So I think I've done a couple of sort of sketches, but that was fine, because that means I had something for other people, And anyway, in a kind of a weird bit of desperation, I had a word with a good editor friend of mine who worked for Delcourt, which is the French comic book publishing company that did The Walking Dead, published it in France, and it became the best-selling book of Delcourt. It was actually number one for quite a few years in the French comic book industry. So I thought, I'll ask Thierry, my friend at Delcourt, if he knew anyone, and he put me in touch with Herrick, and weirdly Herrick had worked with Sean Phillips on something, so he had experience of working with with UK sort of artists and everything, he just got it. He just got exactly what I wanted to do. So, I mean, I don't care. It's initially originally it's a French comic book. So it was published in the end. Funnily enough, it wasn't published by Delcourt. It was published by another big French publisher called Glénat, who did an amazing job. We promoted the promotion on it was just crazy. You know, we launched it a few years back now at a comics rock festival. Believe it or not.
Perfect.
In just outside, well, sort of on northern France, on the sort of the border between Belgium and France. It's called Cabaret Vert, which is French for green, so green cabaret. But I mean, it's a big festival. It's like 30,000 people go for the music and the comics. So it's 3 big sort of outside stages for the music, and on one side there's a massive comic book convention. So
crazy.
It's kind of my kind of thing. I've been there a couple of times now. It's brilliant. And so we launched there, which was the perfect place to launch a book about comics and music. So it did okay in France. I don't think it went, sort of big guns. Yeah, it's just not a commercial project. I know I shouldn't be saying that, because that just sounds like I'm destroying the sales of my book instantly.
Well, great talking to you, Charlie. Take care, man. I think we're done here.
Yes, that's it though, right? That's enough of that. I mean that basically it's not a genre book,
Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
science fiction, it's not superheroes, it's not the stuff that sells hundreds of thousands or whatever. So, I think we did pretty well considering the subject matter. And yeah, like I say, all power to Glénat, because they really pushed it. So I knew Image would want it because, I've got a thing with Eric there, Eric Stevenson, the publisher. He's a big music fan. So as soon as I sort of mentioned that one, he was like totally on board.
Excellent.
With the book. Image have done a nice version of it. It's actually bigger than the French edition. Normally it'd be the other way around. The French,
Yeah, but it's American rock and roll, Charlie. So, I mean, there is, and also in a weird way, I can see a synergy with what you and Robert did with Walking Dead, because it is a very personal story about these 5 people that are walking into a different kind of hell. Because what you left out, obviously, about Altamont, and you'll forgive me, but I think people might know Gimme Shelter, the documentary, that the Hells Angels were hired as security. Hey, great idea. Let's get the biker gang that is all about violence and alcohol to provide security. And
with pool cues. Indeed.
Again, and it's so great because you have moments that are captured in the documentary. And, I remember seeing on stage the guy going, well, you just punched out Marty Ballin from Jefferson Airplane. We want to thank everybody for that. And it's just like, yeah, man, yikes. And I also loved, and I was expecting it, you didn't put it in there, but I still love it. I got to meet Jerry Garcia. Alongside my comic book podcasting career, I had 30 years in Chicago radio.
Right.
And I was really lucky to work at one of the hard rock stations. And Jerry Garcia came to our station several times because we were the Grateful Dead station. Right. So, sad timing too with the loss of Bob Weir in the last few weeks. Didn't he just pass? I think he did.
God, I don't. It wasn't very well publicized because I listened to a radio station over here, which is sort of does
classic rock.
Well, not classic. It's kind of a music. It is a genuine music station. For music fans. So it's modern, old, whatever. Anything that they deem in a snobby sort of way to be good music, sort of thing.
Somebody in the movie they captured it on film of them telling Garcia that Marty got punched out, and it's just so great. Like 1969. Ooh, bummer. Was his response.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that was kind of the I suppose how it all started, because it was literally levels of things getting worse and worse as the festival progresses. I mean, the Grateful Dead didn't even play because it was so
right.
Yeah, it was just the
It got so
atmosphere
tense.
got so bad, and they
Oh
just,
yeah.
bollocks to
You know,
this, they
and
thought.
and the irony of just 2 years earlier, we get that wonderful Scott McKenzie song, "If You're Going to San Francisco, Summertime Will Be a Love in There." Quite the opposite of Altamont.
Quite the opposite, yes, yeah. Well, they cite, it's kind of common knowledge that they cite that and the Manson murders as the kind of communal sort of link to the end of the hippie ideal, at the end of the 60s. And you can see why. I mean, you watch the documentary, and obviously you can read the book and everything, and it wasn't peace and love at all. I mean, Jesus, Hell's Angels as security is just like you can't make it up. It's just bonkers.
But well, and again, you already said you've been to that French rock and comic concert and everything. I again came from music radio for part of my 30 years here in Chicago radio, so I certainly saw my share of festivals and concerts and things, and certainly appreciated the history. In fact, we were the radio station, the Chicago station, for Woodstock '94 and Woodstock '99. So yeah, man. No, we had a correspondent out there, but I was back in Chicago recording the raw feed of the bands as they played. But yeah, again, like you just said, and there's a wonderful recent documentary about Woodstock '99 too, and the hellfire that became. But yeah, man. So yeah, did you ever go to any sort of live show yourself where things got that crazy and dicey?
No.
Okay.
No, all my festival going in the old days, it was all kind of well, there was one kind of funny incident. Well, funny enough, I went to Glastonbury not last year, but the year before last, because I went in '94.
Wonderful.
And I hadn't been since. So I got a bee in my bonnet about celebrating my own personal 30th anniversary of going to Glastonbury. So yeah, we went 2 years ago, and actually, Glastonbury's kind of crazy because it's even though it's massive, it's one of the biggest festivals in the world. It retains that independent streak, which is brilliant. There's still a feeling of that, I suppose, for want of a better word, that peace and love sort of thing going on in it. Because it's not corporate. There's no corporations involved. The only banners you see are banners for Greenpeace and Water Aid and things like that.
Sure.
And you just think, wow, they've managed to maintain that feeling of independence and freedom and things like that in a place where there's literally 200,000 people and the biggest bands in the world are playing there and everything, that was cool. Yeah, that was nice to see.
I'm quite envious because truly over the years, and again, working at the radio stations I have, certainly have heard my share of Glastonbury performances and things. And I assumed that you might have been a Glastonbury goer at some point, given where you live and everything. Certainly, man.
Yeah.
So
it's the only problem with Glastonbury. It's just so popular. It's so hard to go. Thankfully, I've got friends in Greenpeace, so I could get tickets via them. I didn't get freebies, but at least I got access to getting tickets without having to go through this quite a bonkers system to get tickets, and then you might end up with nothing at the end of it anyway, because literally 1 million people, plus just try and get on to this thing for 100,000 available tickets. So
well, here in Chicago for the last 20 or so years, Lollapalooza has been a big show in Chicago, and again, being fortunate and working at the rock stations, we were usually there and having our own tent. So I could always just glom on and be another person in our radio station tent and get to see a lot of live music that way. So, but no, what I love about your story, and now Charlie, did you write the plot? and then give it to.
That was I came up similar to White Death. I came up with literally it was the kernel of what. Yeah, I just said I want it to be about this, this, and this. Off you go, write the story. So it was Herrick that came up with the all the characters and the road trip and the what happens there and everything. It was me basically saying I want to tell a fictional. I don't want to do Altamont because, like I said to you before, it's not. That's not what I want to do.
Yeah, it's by the numbers, and again, it's already documented literally in the documentary. Yeah. So sure.
And I also feel like comics that do tend to tell just. Just stories about I'm struggling for words here. Stories, that just tell factual stories.
Sure,
tend to be a bit dry and a bit heavy on the sort of the box descriptions or whatever. This happened, then this happened, then this happened, and there's no real story to it. It's just more. It's more like sort of illustrated text. So. I wanted it to be dramatic. I wanted there to be a drama, and I wanted it to be about something as well. Not just a frivolous thing. I'm very conscious now. I turn 60 this year now.
Congratulations, my man. I'm slightly ahead of you as we discussed. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just feel, not to sound all kind of depressing or anything like that, but. I recognise I'm at shall we say, the twilight of my career now. Only, shall we say, might have 10, 15 more good years in me.
I respect what you're saying, Charlie. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't want to do anything that doesn't mean something to me anymore. And because of that, doing stuff like Altamont and the stuff I'm doing now, has to have a certain resonance with me. And this one definitely has that. It's a proper passion project.
Years ago I was at a show with do you know Mark Schultz, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs? And
well, I know of him. I don't think I've ever met him. No. Yeah.
Well, it was me, Mark Schultz, and Rick Remender sitting in the green room one day.
Oh, wow.
And Mark pretty much said the same thing. This is about 10 or 15 years ago. And he's like, I want to do the stuff I want to do before it's too late. And Rick, in a very nice, reassuring way, is like, hey, man, you're not old. And it's like, and I understood because I'm slightly older than Remender, but slightly younger than Mark. And I'm like, no, man, we know the clock is running. So let's get the stuff we want to do done while we can still do it. And there is still plenty of time. So I think that's great that you're picking and choosing. And I would certainly, without getting into your personal affairs, I certainly hope you are in a position where you can pick and choose what you want to do.
Well, it's no secret. The Walking Dead obviously did okay. So I am very much in a very small minority of comic book folks that are in that enviable position to be able to just go, I'll do that one. Oh, well, that one will pay $1,000 a page. Yeah, but I don't really want to do that, but I want to do this one that I'll basically be working for nothing on. But again... But
continue.
Excuse me, I
stepped on.
I'll enjoy that one. I won't enjoy the other one.
Right.
So, why? As I keep emphasising, I can totally appreciate people that aren't in this position. But why waste time, for want of a better word, just doing something I don't enjoy when I don't have to do it?
100%, man. Well, you paid your dues. Absolutely, man. No, you have, and truly, I think this is great. Did Herrick, do you feel he wrote towards you? Because again, I don't know how much of your work you had read of his, or rather his work that you've read in the past.
No, I hadn't really read any of his work because it hadn't been translated.
I see.
All the stuff he did with Sean was a French comic book, so obviously, and it never. I don't think it's ever been translated. It was part of a series of kind of 48-page volumes. So
certainly,
and it never came back over. Which is crying shame because so much French stuff doesn't get published. Over here in the US and the UK, probably to do. I think a lot of it is to do with the format more than anything, because obviously that big oversized size doesn't work very well, as we know, in Europe. And when you try and shrink it down, I've seen it shrunk down a couple of times into a more American comic book format. It just looks awful because it's too small then.
I'm with you.
So, yeah, so thankfully there is a growing sort of arm in the French bande dessinée, as we call it,
yes,
which is the smaller format, not because they're trying to approach, sort of UK, US, but I don't know. I think it always, the smaller versions, and I'm just talking in size, are kind of, I think, more akin to sort of, shall we say, the less genre-based stuff. Yeah, it's more creator-owned. Well, it's all creator-owned in France, but the more personal stuff,
sure,
is tends to be the smaller format, and obviously because of that, we are more amenable to being, sort of published over here, as opposed to just exclusively in France. So yeah,
tell me about beyond. Well, first of all, do you cast your characters, and do you have model friends that when you're drawing faces and things that you are choosing from?
No, I don't. I don't have friends. What I always find, I don't have friends. Let's leave it at that. No, I don't use models because I always like the idea. Even though I use a lot of, sort of, especially with backgrounds, a lot of photos. Oh. Sorry, let me just.
Not a problem, Charlie. Don't even sweat it. It's all good.
There you go. I thought I did switch it off, but anyway.
It's quite all right.
Because because I do a lot of sort of reference photos and
sure,
from the internet and everything, because a lot of my stuff does take place in kind of real settings. I do a lot of that, but I like the idea of the people who always remain a sort of a cartoon as opposed to a real person.
Understood.
Two commas. But what I always find useful, and what Herrick did, and what a lot of my writer friends do, is they'll always refer to a certain character. They might describe a character and then say, it's like X famous person from TV, music, film, or whatever.
Certainly.
So I've got a reference point of what they basically look like. So Herrick would send me, a character description and then say, oh, it's like this person, and then I'll take it from there and sort of just do a Google image search on that person. But I tend to only take a couple of images of their face, because I don't want to adhere too closely to that. It has to be slightly caricatured and cartoony, in my opinion. That's
sure,
my style. So I try and do it as minimally as possible, because I just don't want that, I don't want it to be too photorealistic.
I like the narrative because beyond what we see as far as dialogue, we're also following Doc's journal. Doc is one of the specific people on this road trip of a bunch of friends in a van that are making that pilgrimage. And again, I know, it still obviously happens today with Lollapalooza and Glastonbury and things like that. But again, I really get that hippie vibe, as it should be, in that 1969 vibe. So you captured it quite well.
Oh, thank
but
you.
I really did appreciate Doc is our main character, a Vietnam vet. He's called Doc because he was a Vietnam vet, a medic.
Yeah.
And he might have gotten his nickname prior to that. I can't remember now as far as the read, because again, these are old high school friends, and it's kind of a back from Vietnam vibe as far as where Doc is coming from, and certainly had a different experience than those who stayed behind. And again, knowing my older friends and cousins that were of draft age, that had to go, that didn't go, that cross section of people and stuff, I really felt like Herrick really captured these people and that vibe as far as who they were and who these people were back then.
Well, as I keep saying, it's he exactly. It is my kind of sweet spot. Yeah, the stuff I liked the most when I was doing The Walking Dead wasn't the zombie mayhem, it was the character stuff. Thankfully, Robert wrote a lot of character stuff, so that was okay. And going forward, everything I do is like, it's character. It sounds an obvious thing to say, but it's character. So to have these people, I mean, it was an interesting challenge drawing it, because I've never drawn, it was 5 people cooped up in a van for basically 40 odd pages, in this conversation. Okay, they stop off at places, get out and blah, 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 blah. But mainly, they are in this van talking. So the challenge is to make it look interesting. And that's a challenge I like to rise to. I always say it's actually easy to do action. If you're comic savvy enough, the beats of action come to you quite easy. It's kind of, okay, it's more time consuming because it's just, there's more dynamism, there's probably more perspective, there's more full of figures and things like that when you're doing action. But generally speaking, it's sort of the action of the action follows everything quite logically in terms of story. Whereas when you're doing people talking in a room or in a car or whatever, it's like trying to get that dynamism going when there isn't any. And
sure.
And you can't be. This is really when comics differ from film and television, because if you're making a movie or a TV show, generally speaking, you've got your 3 camera setup, the camera doing the wide shot, and you've got your camera on the one person, your camera on the other person. It'll cut between the 3, bish bash bosh, that's it. You can't do that in comics because that's boring. You can't just keep cutting between the same shot each time. So unless there's a very specific reason you need to do that, some sort of repetitive thing or whatever. So it is a real sort of interesting challenge to tell that sort of story where people are basically doing nothing. But Herrick wrote enough bits in between that you kind of keep coming out of the van, when they're telling the story, when they're even listing their favourite, rock stars. It gives me the opportunity to do a lovely splash of psychedelic Jimi Hendrix and things like that, So he's clever enough, not literally to do everything just set in that one set. I can get out of it occasionally. So I'll say is that it was a great pairing of us. We were totally on the same wavelength.
It's a very relatable story too, and I think again, anyone who has had high school and college friends can relate. Everybody getting together for a weekend adventure like this. And stopping for gas, or hey, my mom is on the way to the concert. Let's stop and say hello to her. And also, again, the great conversations like your favorite bands, or the Oscars comes up in conversation, things like that. And no, man, again, you guys capture the vibe, and I think that's really wonderful. And also, I will say that yes, there is not action the way we would expect in a genre piece. But there are moments of action. And I will say, if people think, because a lot of times, and I understand that, because there was that great American baseball movie, Moneyball, about a very specific thing with the Oakland A's. And I, along with working in rock radio, I worked in sports radio. And I'm like, I don't need to see the movie. We covered the story because I worked for a national sports network.
I see. Yeah.
And then I saw the movie and I'm like, well, no, that's the backdrop. It's these people, you're following the people. And that's what's happening in Altamont. And I will say your final act was a wonderful twist without spoiling anything. And it is not the story you're expecting, folks. And I mean, that's the thing. If you're like, well, I already saw Give Me Shelter, or I know about the details of Altamont, I don't need this. It's like, if you like a nice dramatic story, and also I think as we get older, as comic fans, we like the difference. I certainly seek it out. and truly do find that every now and then I do want to read a dramatic piece that doesn't, have capes or horror or whatever, But no, I think you guys kill it.
I think that's the danger our industry keeps sort of falling into. Well, there's two things really. The one is everyone gets a bit too obsessed with the IP of everything. So,
certainly.
And also is the danger of everything has to be a genre, and I get quite bored when I'm looking through whatever previews catalog or whatever or something online and see what's coming out next month from a publisher, and I just start reading the first few lines and it's like blah blah blah, this happened, that's quite intriguing, until they put on a cape or something like that and you think, here we go again. You just think, there's enough of this. There really is enough of this. You cannot even, you can't tell me I'm going to do this different now. Everyone's been saying I'm going to do this different now since Alan Moore did Watchmen, or and that was 1980, what?
Six,
yeah. And you just think, that's bloody 40 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy.
So, I do seek when I'm instantly more interested in something that doesn't say that, if you see what I mean. Okay, it doesn't have, I'm not dissing the whole genre and saying it has to be realistic, and no, far from it, but I just want that kind of thing where you have an idea and you go, oh right, okay, that's more interesting. Unfortunately, I always say I'm a massive comics fan, but I don't read that many comics anymore. Because
I get it. No, I get it. And honestly, I also think that much as Alan Moore and Frank Miller stretched the superhero genre back then in the 80s, I also think that the medium has grown up enough that, and it's always been the case in Europe and in Japan and the other countries, but I think honestly, the North American audience, we need more dramatic things to show that when people say comic book, that it's not just capes and masks, and that it is just a physical medium that can tell any kind of story. And that's why I've always admired manga and the Japanese for doing it.
Oh, absolutely,
and the Franco-Belgium comics that do it as well, and the occasional UK stuff.
Yeah, I mean, not to diss our industries, and let's face it, when I say our industry, I'm talking about the US, UK, because we do
I get it.
kind of run parallel. There are plenty of probably there are plenty of great indie comics out there that aren't about that sort of subject matter. So I'm not suggesting that there isn't that stuff out there. Unfortunately, it just doesn't break through. That's the problem.
No.
Because it's being crushed by the enormity of 100,000 selling bloody absolute Batman.
You got it, buddy. Man.
200th iteration of the same character, and I haven't read it, so I can't really criticize, and perhaps Scott Snyder is doing a bang-up job on writing that.
It's great. I won't deny it is great.
Fair enough. But for me personally, I instantly don't read it. The only time I'll read a superhero book now, if it's literally drawn. I mean, as an artist, I'm drawn, no pun intended, to the artwork first and foremost.
Sure.
So just because that's my initial reaction, obviously, if
of course,
the story is top notch, that's even better. So, which is why I was drawn to. My favourite books of the last, 3 or 4 years has probably been Nice House by the Lake, because it had fantastic writing and art, and I'm really enjoying The Seasons at the minute.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love Paul Azaceta's art, and Rick Remender is doing a bang-up job, and it's that, ironically, it looks very European.
Indeed. I'm with you on all of that. Absolutely. Yeah. And again, as I said, as I got older, I seek out the other genres as well. And it really, I've been doing this, and it shocks me, but I have been doing this for 20 years. I started in 2005. and honestly, it really feels like just a couple years before I started that finally North American comics, we were starting to see the Parasopolis, or I'm saying it wrong, but blankets.
Persepolis.
Persepolis. I'm Greek and I didn't even get it right. Shame on me. But blankets as well, and some of the other more personal comics. And it's wonderful because, man, I think thankfully things like the Eisners and some of the other awards that come out over the years, they're starting to recognize those in the last 20 years. And along with what we call the mainstream, even though we know that certainly we're in a niche market and interest, that again, there is room. I love what's happening you mentioned Sean, and I love what he and Brubaker are doing with crime fiction. And I mean, that's the thing, man. I mean, it's like you literally can do anything with comics, and I'm glad people like you are proving it.
It's always a shame, though, we just can't start off a trend, I think, is the issue. It was like when The Walking Dead first came out, and it obviously grew and grew and grew and became massive, and then Image did Saga.
Yes.
And when that went straight to #1 or whatever, or high or whatever, like it did really well anyway. And I remember thinking, ooh, this is interesting. We've got 2 books out, like literally next to each other that are, non-superhero stuff drawn by, teams that aren't that big a name in the industry, or we weren't when we, started them.
Certainly.
And then Image did a few others which sort of did really well, like Rucker and Michael Lark's Lazarus and things like that. I remember coming out and thinking, "Wow, this is a proper this is it. This is the revolution sort of thing," And now it's sort of just all fizzled out, and I don't really know why. Because there's been some great books come out, and. It's a very, I just can't explain it, why that didn't sort of take over, why readers didn't pick up on that as a regular thing and didn't go back. Why have they gone back to superheroes again?
Well, don't you think the advantage is because there are decades of Batman stories and that it's an ongoing book and idea? I mean, honestly, I wondered if when you and Robert were doing Walking Dead, thankfully, sales never dissipated, but was there ever in the back of your mind going, all right, the string will eventually end sooner than what you guys were able? I mean, you were able to end on your own terms, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, but I mean, there was always that in the back of our heads. It was like, oh, were we going to get another year out of this? Are we going to, and we kept saying... I remember Robert saying once, I think we're going to get to the top of the curve next year or whatever, and then next year would come and it would still be going up. So it was a bonkers time, especially in that sort of especially the last, shall we say, the latter half of the 16 years that I was on it, because it just never seemed to just die down. It was just crazy. But like I said, it just did not create a wave of creator-owned books. I think the only thing it has created, which is a good thing, is the fact that I think pre-Walking Dead, the attitude for most professionals was, I'll start off with a creator-owned thing, get my name recognized, then I'll go on to the, inverted commas, the big stuff and do the superhero stuff, and that's when I've really made it. Now what I'm seeing is a reverse situation, which is they start off on the superhero stuff, get to the big stuff, which makes them able, this is the problem though, which makes them financially able to be able to do the creator-owned stuff and have their own, IP or whatever it might be. So it is a reverse. I'm seeing a reverse now of that situation. I don't think because of that, though, it's particularly healthy, because it is, should we say, the wrong way around,
Why so, though, Charlie? Because honestly, if anything, I would think that's advantageous to the creator, because you are bringing your mainstream audience that you establish with Batman or Superman or Spider-Man. And thankfully, hey, you like my writing, you like my art, check out this stuff. Have you found that with your subsequent work post Walking Dead? I mean, do you have a core following that follow pretty much what you do?
I'm sure I have people that follow me, to whatever. I think we all do, don't we? Anyone that's been in the industry for a certain amount of time has been, sort of has a certain level of followers. I think because of my own choice of what I want to do, I think I've probably jettisoned quite a lot of people because they see it as a slight, like I said before, a slight non-commercial approach that I take. To be honest, one of my biggest influences and one of the guys I respect most in this industry, of over the decades, is probably David Mazzucchelli, because he did all the big stuff and just decided, like, I don't want to do that anymore. He's probably made enough money. Batman Year One is probably a perennial little nest egg for him, and Daredevil and all the other things. So
sure,
he afforded to step back. Whereas a lot of people won't. A lot of people seem to be obsessed with maintaining that level of fame, for want of a better word. And personally, that doesn't interest me because, like I say, like Mazzucchelli, I don't care if I'm stepping back from the industry and doing my, he obviously thought, this is what I want to do. I want to do personal stuff. I want to do experimental stuff. I want to do, whatever. And off he goes and does it, But he's, well, like I say, he's still a name that can at least, he can always, get something published regardless of what it is. So that, I agree. That is the power of as I was saying. Correct me if I'm wrong. I wasn't saying that that's the bad thing, doing.
Oh no, I understand.
First
I know exactly what you mean, man.
To do your thing. I'm just saying it's an interesting reverse of things. How
indeed
it used to be,
but I think we're at the beginning of it, Charlie. Honestly, and that's why. And unfortunately, these things move at a glacial pace. So I wish they did move faster. But I really do feel that, it's funny, monthly now, I and my friend Brian Bendis, we get our groups together, my patrons and his Discord, and we do a book club.
Right.
And we just did Darwin Cook's, one of his Parker novels.
Oh, okay.
And Darwin's another great example of a guy that came from doing straight up animation of Batman Beyond and the stuff he was doing to all the superhero stuff. And all of a sudden, those final years, doing the Parker books that he did. I'm sorry he's not still around to do more, but that's the thing. And I understand it certainly isn't the legions of fans that are Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Wolverine fans, etc. But it feels like, and I don't know how much you experience this, it's the difference between a San Diego or a New York Comic-Con and some of the comic art festivals, the CAFs, that are going on here in the States. And I know that certainly that's the case with more of the European shows, that you get more personal books alongside the mainstream books. So has that been your experience in coming to some of these smaller comic art festivals?
Yeah, I always say I don't do the big festivals, cons, shall we say. I don't do the big cons anymore. I have done occasionally. I won't say flatly.
Hey, whatever.
Anymore, because that's like never say never again. Just because I don't like the crass over commercialization of them, and the fact that you go to San Diego now and it's just it's 10% comics, 90% everything else.
Yeah, I know.
The reason it's called the Comic Con just seems absurd to me now.
I hear you, buddy. So, all the Hollywood people and all the autographs.
So my favorite show probably is Angoulême in France.
Wonderful, certainly, absolutely.
Because it's proven the point that it can get 100,000 people to a show. And it doesn't have to be about movies or television, and that is proof of a real proof of the industry to show that, it gets that many people there. Not only is it just comics, it's pretty much just French comics. So, it's got more niche, yet there's still 100,000 people there. Unfortunately, it's not happening. It didn't happen this year because of politics. So I won't
Oh,
go into that.
that's a shame. My God.
I know. I mean, they're talking about it never happening again if they can't sort it out. So,
Can you tell me? Do you know the details, or can you point me to where I can find the
oh,
details?
well, I mean, again, to cut a long story short, the show has they basically farm it out to a production company or whatever.
Okay.
And they get a 10-year contract, right? So
Right.
this comics based media company has had it for the last 10 years, but there was rumors of sort of bad workplace practice.
I see.
There was sexual allegations as well.
Oh my.
That happened at the festival.
Oh wow.
And then the woman that apparently she claimed that she was raped actually.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then mysteriously she was sacked 2 weeks later. So
Wow.
So loads of companies were saying we're not going unless this company is removed. That's right. And then there were lots of their tenure was coming up, but then they got another 10 years. And apparently the guy that runs this company was threatening the other people, all just terrible stuff going on.
I'll dig in. All
The
right.
companies
Yeah.
actually stood up and said, we're not going. A load of Alfart, the big award that you can win there, a load of people got together, a load of the winners, and they're all massive names in the industry, all got together, we're not going to go to Angoulême unless this company is removed. And then some independent companies said we're not coming, and then finally the majors said we're not going either. In fact, funnily enough, Delcourt, I think, were the first ones to say we're not going. And then it was obviously cancelled because no one's going, and so I don't know what's been happening since. It's a shame because, Angoulême is the place, and it's got this amazing museum of comics there, and everyone's saying, well, we could have it somewhere else, but somewhere else hasn't got this museum,
Sure.
things like that. So I don't know. It's
Wow.
I stand with everybody else. I think it's terrible what's happened with this company and everything. But
What about Lucca, Charlie? Because Lucca, I know is. I have a lot of friends that go to Lucca in Italy.
It's good. I enjoyed Lucca. I was there this year, funny enough.
Oh, wonderful!
Did
you table with Altamont? Did you table with Altamont there?
No, because it's not out in
Italy.
It's not out in Italy yet. There's an
Okay.
Italian version. I was there, sort of more to do with. They had an Italian version of Heretic, my publisher there. So that's where I was there. They have a very big comics presence there at Lucca. I mean, it's still very much dominated by the gaming industry in Lucca. That's its big thing. They do TV and film as well. I mean, they did have the world premiere of the last season of Stranger Things. The world premiere at Lucca. So
Interesting.
It's huge. It is huge. But yeah, there's some big tents with comics in, if you see what I mean. It's not a small presence by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, outside of France, the Italian industry in Europe, that's the next biggest industry anyway. So they do have a big, love of comic books there. So it's great. I do a lot of stuff over in Italy, actually. I enjoy my publishers. Salda Press are great. They really look after me. And they just get me to do some more interesting stuff. I've been to some sort of very interesting places over in Italy. It's really cool. So
that's amazing.
I mean there are. So yeah, I mean we've got 2 festivals over here in the UK. They're the only ones I do as a regular thing. There's Thought Bubble in it's in a place called Harrogate now. It used to be in Leeds, but they moved sort of 20 miles further, annoyingly further away from me.
Funny.
But hey ho.
What are you going to do?
Which is really good. That's a nice independent thing. But
I've always heard that. So,
it's really
what
good.
else?
It's where most of sort of us lot go to. But then and I'm obviously biased, I'm a patron of it. There's this festival in the Lake District called the Lakes International Comic Art Festival, LICAF for short, and it's a month and a bit before Thought Bubble, and as great as Thought Bubble is, I think the Lakes is brilliant because it's taken the Angoulême template, which is taking over a town and doing lots of little things around the town, so it feels like a festival, and it's not really, it doesn't feel commercial either. It's funded a lot by the Arts Council and things like that, so the organizer, who's brilliant, will get, we always have a guest country and we'll get 20 artists in from that country, but none of them are, famous, inverted commas. They're just, they wouldn't be able to afford to come over normally, sort of thing, especially en masse like that. But because we're Arts Council funded, we can do stuff like that, which makes it a lot more interesting. You see a lot more different stuff than just the usual, what you'd see at a convention. That I always recommend that, and yeah, I get to do some really good fun stuff there. That's really good. So myself, Sean Phillips, Brian Talbot.
Oh, sure. I haven't seen Brian for years. Oh my God.
Oh, right. Yeah, we're all patrons of the show, No, we love that. That's brilliant. But it's small. It's small and it's perfectly formed.
That's excellent. No, man, but that's the thing, man. And again, your independent stuff, and and of course even Walking Dead has that vibe that I think it would obviously translate to a comic art festival, and certainly, of course, because of the success of both the comics and the TV show of Walking Dead, you're probably welcomed everywhere, and I can appreciate that. What was that like, Charlie, when the show? I mean, I know the show's still going on to whatever degree currently, but yeah, I mean, how was that? Having that part of your life be given the usual isolation of a comic book artist.
Yeah. Well, that's a crazy thing. I didn't change my life really.
Good.
Not when I was working on it. I mean, the day-to-day working on the book was exactly the same from day one as it was till I drew that shot of Rick in a rocking chair. Not Rick, Carl in a rocking chair with his daughter. I moved house, but but apart from that, it was exactly the same, and I think it gave me a really good grounding in that respect, because I wasn't part of the kind of the melee in the States that Robert must have experienced, and obviously to get from where I am over to, say, Atlanta or even California is a bit of a schlep. It's not something you're going to do in a day and come back again. So every trip that I did do to the States, it's kind of a week out of your schedule, basically.
Of course.
And by the time you get over jet lag and everything like that. So, I had to sort of cherry pick my trips. But because of that, I never really got that much of a taste of the level of how massive it had become. Apart from the checks, obviously.
I
But yeah, I mean, so I think it did keep me grounded in that respect. I think I went on set twice. When the
really
show
only
was
those 2 times, really?
Yeah. I was there for the pilot, and I was back on. I visited it for season 3.
Okay.
And then I just couldn't justify a trip again. In terms
Logistics.
of time and
sure.
And, I had a young family at the time, so I wanted to spend time with them. And to be honest, a holiday. It was what's the choice? Go on set for a week, or go on holiday with my family and spend quality time, with the family. So, to be honest, it's a no-brainer. So,
of course,
I chose that every time, and it just became a case of, and they'd ask a lot, and then because I kept constantly turning them down, the requests sort of dwindled off in the end, because they just, I kind of assumed they'd be going, oh, you'll just say no anyway. What's the point? So, and it was the same with the shows. I kind of would do I'd do 2 or 3 American shows a year at the height of its popularity, and that kind of dwindled off as well, as things got busier at home and things like that. To nothing really now.
I can't imagine, what was it like being the artist and then seeing what you draw come to life? And I wonder if there was a difference when you went to the pilot and everything was virgin new to then go season 3 when it was a smash hit.
Well, yeah, and also on the pilot, obviously those were the 6 issues drawn by Tony Moore as well.
Indeed.
I remember Robert saying to me when I got out there, he goes, "Just say you drew it all, just for the sake of simplicity."
I understand.
It wasn't like a dodgy thing or trying to sort of pretend anything. He says it would just confuse the Hollywood people. So But yeah, one of the weirdest things I always remember was I went on the prison set, and on the second time, and I remember looking at the tables thinking they've created the tables of the prison exactly how I drew them in the book. And I remember thinking, that's mad. That was more insane than looking at, and Denai Garia had just sort of come on the show as Michonne, and
yes,
looking at her going, and she looked exactly like Michonne. It was different looking at meeting.
Shame on me too, buddy.
The guy that played the governor. I'm thinking.
David, or not David. He's God damn it, he's the comedian as well.
Him.
Yeah.
But looking at him and going, "Oh, you look completely different," to what I drew. But looking at Denai and looking at her image and just going, "You're exactly how I drew you." I had to stop myself pointing at her when I was talking to her, just going, "I created you."
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but just looking at the tables and the towers as well, the prison towers were done almost the same as I drew them, in the book. And I was thinking, they didn't have to do that. They could have just got another sort of template of a prison and just done that, but no. So that was one of those weird sort of things where I just thought, that's bonkers. That is utterly bonkers. So, which is kind of a reason why I never did any artwork for the show itself. Or people were saying, why didn't you storyboard stuff or do
conceptual art? But I guess the books themselves were the conceptual art.
Exactly. That was my 2 reasons. That was my one reason, was like, I'll just feel like I'm regurgitating stuff already done, and B, what would have happened to the book? I would have not been able to have done the monthly schedule. And at the end of the day, for both Robert and I, it was like, no, we want to stick to this. We want to do a regular book. We know how the American industry works. We know people like their stuff regularly. We're going to give it them regularly. That was our commitment, And I used to moan about how artists and writers would not commit. So I'd feel very, sort of a hypocrite. I'd be a hypocrite to not, practice what I preached. So basically.
Well, good for you, Charlie, because truly, I know the fans, that's the kind of thing that it is, that kind of commitment to the monthly schedule that, I mean, again, there are brilliant books that we all wait for and are patient with. But you're right. I mean, that does happen a lot in comics. And that's the challenge of deadline art. And that's what I try to explain to some of my hypercritical other podcasters who get really shitty about sometimes, they use the same, they statted in the same background on several panels. And I'm like, this is deadline art. It's got to be done by the 15th or they're in trouble, not only with DC and Marvel, but more importantly, with their readers. And it's like, guys, you gotta cut these guys slack. It's not like, I mean, can you imagine the deadlines of comic strip people that worked in the newspapers and having to do that kind of commitment,
Well, especially something like something more involved, like if you were, I don't know, I'm trying to think of
you can rattle off a British strip and it'll be okay, brother.
Now. My mind's gone completely blank. Somebody, oh God.
Milton Caniff with Terry and the Pirates, or
Milton Caniff, somebody like doing it on that level every day, absolutely mad,
or even the simplicity of Charles Schultz and Peanuts, but again, that 7-day-a-week commitment, absolutely.
And he did it right to the end,
which is amazing. I know, man. That is, God bless all these people that really, you almost had to pry the pencil out of their hand when they passed away. Eisner, going till the end. Hubert, going till the end. Admirable. And the aforementioned Darwin Cook, sadly.
Oh, I can see myself going to the end as well, to be honest. I mean, what else am I going to be doing with my time?
I got to ask you, Charlie, and I don't know, it's been great to watch. Something's going on with your camera where there's a lot of dynamic movement as you're talking, and it's totally fine. Don't worry. But the fact that we see in the background all your fantastic models and figures of Star Wars, and my God, what an impressive display. Please talk about that for a second.
We were very lucky. 4 years ago, we were able to, more than 4 years ago, we moved 4 years ago. We built our own house.
Wonderful.
So, that took 3 years because it was unfortunately built over the pandemic as well. So it took a bit longer than expected. So I was obviously very lucky to build my own studio exactly how I wanted it. So we are sat here on my, shall we say, digital area, and behind me is basically a massive display cabinet of stuff that was in the old house, was spread over a vast area of bits of rooms and things like that, much to my wife's chagrin. So now it's all nicely contained. Most of it, believe it or not, is Lego.
Wow.
Because I'm a massive fan of Lego.
Good for you, man.
Me and my youngest son, who'll be 21 in a couple of months' time. We are, he's the true fan of Lego. I mean, he's a master builder. He's amazing what he does. He can see things from, he can see things in 3D, which I can't. I'm very good at the 2D, but not the 3D. So he can build stuff from within, and create something, whereas these are all kits, that Lego have made over the years. And yes, most of it is Star Wars, and most of it is the original trilogy, Is
the frame drawing, is that Rollerball or is that Star Wars?
Yes, that's an original. I've got 5 original Bob Peaks.
Wow.
So that's a Rollerball prelim. That's an original.
Outstanding.
And in fact, I prefer the prelim to the original art, because that's just so beautifully loose and it's all done in pastels. It's fantastic.
Oh, wonderful.
But you can't see it, but over there I have Apocalypse Now, an original.
Wow.
Which is a finished poster. It's not the official poster that was the US release poster, which is the bridge on fire going up to Martin Sheen in the sun. Apparently Frank Darabont owns that one. But I have another one he painted, which I think was used a lot less for promotional reasons, but it's the boat on the river, dark, with light going up from the boat into Marlon Brando's face in the sun, and the little helicopters going across. So that's a bit of a pride and joy. That's quite expensive.
Well, as an old man, I loved Rollerball, and was certainly old enough when it came out to see it in the theater. So that is one of my classic favorites from 50 plus years ago.
Okay. Oh, great. Well, it's just, I find that specific period of art, not necessarily film. I mean, I love the 60s going into the 70s, American illustrative art. All the stuff those guys did for all the, kind of even things like, Women's Own and all those stories that they did for the magazines, everything had an illustration. All those guys like Bob Peak, Bernie Fuchs, Robert McGuinness, all those guys.
Love McGuinness, yes.
Yeah. I do own a very small Robert McGuinness Bond girl, just done in pencil.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So,
Jesus. What's the frame piece from my perspective to the right of the Star Wars thing? So it's your other shoulder that's on the in the corner there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah,
All right.
what's that?
Well, because my studio, there's not much wall space in my studio because most of it's because we built a very modern house, so it's very Californian style. So there's a lot of glass. So I've got lots of glass everywhere. So I was like, well, what can I put up that's really means? Because I've got a lot of original art, so it was like,
Of course, wonderful.
Well, I don't. I say I've got a lot of original art. I don't have as much as I don't have. What I don't want to do is have it all in a portfolio, because what's the point? And I'm not a dealer, so I'm not going to just constantly sell it and get other stuff. So all my original art has to go on the wall. So I'm limited to kind of what I can buy. But so I've got two pieces that are kind of special to me. That one over there is by an artist called Barou, which is a French artist, and he did a book called, it's my favorite French bande dessinée. It's called L'autoroute du Soleil, which is Road to the Sun. And he did it in conjunction with Kodansha Publishing, the manga publisher.
Okay.
So it's very thick. It's kind of manga size, black and white. But he does classic sort of French cartooning, which is in the style of Asterix in terms of highly realistic backgrounds, but very cartoony figures.
Yeah.
But he did L'Autoroute, which is like 300 odd pages long. It's all done in a beautiful black and white wash. So I've got an original page from that. Which just depicts this one character sort of falling out of a truck on a freeway sort of thing. So the truck's drawn beautifully. I got it for the truck.
Well, and even though we can't see it, what about the other piece that you were pointing to on the other side?
The other piece again is special. So that's like my favourite bande dessinée, and I thought,
Indeed.
well, the first artist I ever got into when I was young, the first artist I sort of realised, oh, I need to look at this guy's name because I want to see more of this guy's artwork rather than just following the story or whatever, when I was about, 8, 9 or 10 or something like that.
Sure.
And that's Michael Golden. And,
British?
Michael Golden.
Oh, Michael Golden. Excuse
Yes.
me. Of course.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Of course. I've met him several times. Of course.
He was the first artist. I remember reading the Micronauts.
Fun. Of
back
course.
when I was actually, it's a bit older. I was about 11 or 12, I think.
Okay.
Read the Micronauts, and it really, because it was a reprint in the UK, it wasn't in colour, so it was just the black and white, and it really sort of stuck out to me because because Michael was really good at that chiaroscuro sort of, that kind of black and white design sort of thing. So I haven't got a Micronauts page, but that's one of his covers. It's an X-Men cover.
Oh, beautiful.
But it's from a lot later on in his career. But it's all just this beautiful, just pencil line artwork. So and I met Michael quite a few times back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I got to know him a bit.
Outstanding.
Inevitably I got a page off him. So that's kind of first artist I ever got into. My favourite bande dessinée, so I've got American, European, and a couple of Bob Peaks.
Growing up, was there a British artist that turned you on?
Probably my favourite British artist is I'm probably going to regret this because after I've spoken to you, I'll think of somebody I like even more. But off the top of my head, it's probably Mike McMahon.
I'm aware of the name. I'd have to see his work to remember it.
He was part of, shall we say, the triumvirate in the early to mid 80s that drew Judge Dredd for 2000.
Sure, I figured.
It was him, Brian Bolland, and
Alan?
God, it's terrible when you get to my age because you instantly suddenly forget people. And
Don't
another
sweat
guy.
it, Charlie. No, I understand. Alan Davis, perhaps, or
Sorry?
Alan Davis, perhaps, or some of the
No. Alan
Spanish
Davis
artists.
never worked for 2000 AD. He
Oh,
kind of
there you
went
see
straight
again.
he kind of went straight to
American
comic
comics.
books.
Yeah.
Anyway, no,
Well, there's
Mike
two.
Mann's this just he's a unique talent. He sort of draws. If you look at Kev O'Neill's stuff, he
Yes.
draws a more. His work is more akin to that as opposed to the highly realistic stuff. That's all I can describe. If you haven't seen his work, just Google him. Mike. It's a weird spelling. It's not McMahon. It's M-A. Is it Mike Mc? I used to think it was Mike McHowen. That because he's not
Okay.
Irish. It's an Irish sort of name.
Well,
but
Google him.
He's not
You know,
Irish. I've met
He'll
him
correct the
once.
spelling for me, but yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's good to
so
know.
He's an amazing. He did Dread, and then he went on to do Slain as well.
Oh, sure, I know Slain,
good run
absolutely.
On Slain as well. He did the only American work I can think of he did that was of kind of in terms of an amount was The Last American. If you remember
Yes, I do remember
in the
that book.
90s.
Yes, indeed.
He did that. So he's
Well,
very
I've had-
stylized, but a beautiful sense of black and white again. So
I've had the pleasure to talk to a couple of the British writers, and Pat Mills in particular, several times. So I'm a novice when it comes to British comics, but I do
Right.
appreciate them and fascinated by the differences in the American comic culture and the British comic culture. And I also always appreciate the British writers who write American comics because they have a different point of view. And I think some of the things that we subconsciously take for granted, they really kind of focus on. And I've said this to friends like James Robinson and people like Andy Diggle that I've spoken to, and really do appreciate when they're doing American stuff. Someone on my Patreon wanted to know, they really enjoyed what you did with Cy Spurrier on Hellblazer and wondered with the revitalization of Vertigo. But you've kind of telegraphed to me that maybe DC and Marvel are really not in your interest of the moment.
No.
I understand. No.
I did. Damn Them All was very good fun. We did 12 issues of it, and it was great to do that sort of stuff for a while. I just wanted, at the time, to draw sort of a nice contemporary. It was great to do something set in contemporary London. I've not, believe it or not really drawn that ever before, so it was nice to properly get my teeth into something contemporary, I think I did. How long ago is it? Probably it's a couple of years ago. I did a 10-page Batman black and white story, and I remember thinking when I finished that. And funnily enough, I did it with Herrick because when I was asked to do it, they asked me, "Who do you like? Do you want to write it?" And I was like, "I'm not a writer, and I haven't got any Batman ideas." I said, "Can I ask Herrick to do it?" Because I thought, he'll lend an interesting European eye to something like Batman.
Yes.
And he's never done superhero stuff before in his life, so it was an interesting sort of way of doing it. So we did it together. But I remember by the end of it, I thought, 10 pages, that's enough. That's enough
I respect
Batman
that.
for me.
Yeah.
No, I'm not particularly good superhero artist. I haven't got that in me. It's just I always gravitate towards the more, realism.
No,
I will say I could probably entertain a decent run on something like Daredevil or something.
I'd love to see that.
The more
But
grounded superheroes. But
I hear what you're saying, Charlie, but I got to be honest. The times that Eduardo Risso, for example, has dipped into the superhero world, it's great because it's him. It's his style. And again, and that's the thing. And you certainly as well have such a distinct style that it would be great to see you do Daredevil. I'm going to have to look up your, was that one of the Batman black and whites that
it
you
was
did.
done, it was what was in Brave and the Bold, isn't it? That's
Oh,
the
okay.
book it appears in now, isn't it? Yeah, it was about it was a couple of years ago. It's not last
Okay.
year; it was the year before last. Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, it was good fun to do. Definitely, I didn't hate doing it. That's for sure.
No, but stick to what you want to do, Charlie. Indeed. So, what is the plan with Altamont? And honestly, Charlie, I can't thank you enough for contacting me, and I really do feel privileged that you did want to come on the show and talk about this. So, what is the plan for Altamont? And are you able to tell me what's next for you?
Well, the plan from Altamont is, well, it's out this Wednesday, in a couple of days' time, finally. So I'm doing, it's all, at the minute, it's all unfortunately UK based. Well, yeah, UK based, because I have to keep thinking, oh, when they release it in France, I'll be able to do signings there. I think, oh no, it's already come out in France, because it's not normal. It doesn't normally happen this way around.
Certainly.
So I've done the French stuff already. So I'm doing a signing this weekend in Gosh Comics in London. Then I'm doing a signing in a new comic shop called Secret Identity in a place called Chester the weekend
Lovely.
after that, which is near to me, so that's quite handy. So that's, and I'm obviously talking to you and a few other guys, sort of online.
That's great.
Promotional wise. Because like I say, I feel like I need to step up a bit with my promotional, you do something like, I don't know, Damn Them All, and it kind of, you leave that to Boom to sort of promote,
Sure.
The Walking Dead
Sure.
promoted itself. I kind of dropped the ball a bit with Heretic, the book I did with Robbie, because I just assumed, again, Image would take care of the publicity, but no disrespect to Image. They do a certain amount. They do what they normally do, inverted commas,
Sure.
but it doesn't go any further than that. So if you really want to get people to look at your book, you really have to step out of the, out of your not comfort zone, but out of the, get out there and actually say, come on, look at my book, it's quite good.
That's excellent. No, Charlie, honestly, I think it's great. And
I mean, the good thing about something like at least a book is that it's not like a monthly comic where you've got to get out there on that month and promote it. I could still be promoting on Altamont a year from now.
Certainly,
it'll be on the shelves.
Sure.
So, so hopefully there'll be numerous appearances over the year of me sort of rabbiting on about the brilliance of this comic. So,
regardless of and honestly, Charlie, I'm not asking from a competition standpoint. Every podcast is different. Who, if I may ask, and also I want your fans to be able to follow these other interviews that you're likely going to do coming up. What other podcasts might you be doing coming up?
Last week I did one with Andrew Sumner of The Forbidden Planet.
Sure, great show, wonderful show. Yeah,
that's just come out. I think that one's on YouTube, isn't it?
Beautiful.
I'm doing Panel Borders next.
Oh yeah, I know them.
Next week, yeah. Well, the weird thing is, I didn't think, like yourself, I'd forgotten I'd already been on the show.
Oh, please. Good Lord, Charlie, there's literally thousands of us. Don't even sweat it. My God.
And I'm doing, I'm going to call it up. I can't remember what it was called. I'm doing, because that was with David Harper.
Sure, sketched. Yeah. Or off panel. Off panel, great guy.
Yeah, that's the one. And I'm doing one called, where is it? Comic Geek Speak.
I know them well, absolutely, from Pennsylvania, of course.
So yeah. So that'll be all good fun.
Marvelous.
So like I say, I think panel sketched will be next Monday, funnily enough. So
excellent.
It's all a bit crazy promotional time. But yeah, after that, I mean, I'm working on a book as we speak with Chris Condon at the minute.
Hey, great!
Yeah, called Of This Earth. So that's more your classic 6-issue miniseries. So get a bit more traditional with this one. It's like an eco-horror, and it'll be out from Image hopefully in May. But I'm on issue 4 already, so
wow, already in May
by the time it comes out. So
Well, please, Charlie. Honestly, I hope you'll consider coming back when that's ready.
Yeah,
because it would really be a pleasure. And also, whatever's next, Charlie, it's never personal enough that Word Balloon here, we want to talk to you. I mean,
Okay.
and truly.
Well,
So
I've got something after Of This Earth. After I've done that, there's something I'm doing. I can't really talk about it, but I'm doing something with a writer I've known for a long time. He's a well-known writer in the industry. It's for a book publisher as opposed to a
marvelous.
comic book publisher.
Yes.
When he contacted me about it, he said he's written this with me in mind. When he sent me the synopsis, I was like, oh yeah. It could be a book I might end up working on for a couple of years, to be honest. It's a one-off book, but I like it so much, I might... The thing is with colouring your comic books, as I've worked with some great colorists, right? Altamont, I coloured myself. It's the
I was going to ask. Okay.
Yeah, it's the only book I've ever coloured myself.
God, it looks great, man. It truly does. It honestly, good choices. Honestly.
Thank you. But as great a colorist as there are out there, and I've worked with some great colorists, sometimes they'll just do something you wouldn't do yourself. And generally speaking, I'll leave them to make their own decisions because I appreciate their creative input as much as my own creative input, and that's their personal. I don't want to tread on their toes constantly. So, but at the end of the day, when you want your work to look exactly how you want it to look, you got to bloody colour it yourself. So on this one, even though it might take me a long time, if I've got the time, this one might be the next one I colour as well. So that's as sort of how passionate I might be about it.
Wonderful.
So I'm very excited about this one. Yeah, it could be totally in my ballpark, but unfortunately I can't tease it any further than that at the minute.
That's you will serve no wine before it's time, no good wine before it's time, and that's quite all right. Charlie, this was amazing. Honestly, I thank you so much again for putting me part of a very esteemed list of fellow podcasters. It means a lot, and please, truly, come back this early summer to talk about the comic book. That'd be great.
Definitely. Excellent. No, I will do, John. Well, we'll hopefully talk later on in the year then. Fantastic.